Hello from down under. I'm in Australia for the next 3 weeks, and let me tell you, this trip is jam-packed. We're talking Born Legal meetings, Melbourne Toy Fair, licensed experiences, and of course, family time with loved ones from both Australia and Brazil converging in Melbourne. Today's episode is a bit of a mishmash of licensing-related things, from dining inside Bikini Bottom at the world's first SpongeBob SquarePants restaurant in Sao Paulo, to getting an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at how licensed products come to life at Courtney Brands here in Australia. And I'll be sharing my thoughts on whether we've reached peak Labubu. Today's episode is a bit of a licensing world tour, and I'm bringing you along for the ride. I'm David Bourne, and this is Born to License. Welcome back to the show. Before I dive into today's topics, I need to set the scene. I'm currently in Melbourne, Australia, my hometown, and this isn't just a holiday. I'm here for 3 weeks with a schedule that would make even the most organized licensing professionals' heads spin. First up, I've got a series of important meetings for Born Legal. This is the exciting new joint venture I've started with my sister. And I have to say, with my completely unbiased opinion, she's one of the best marketing and advertising lawyers in the country. Born Legal launched just this year, and we're focused on a few things that cross over with the licensing world: trade promotions and advertising and marketing compliance. More on that in future episodes, but let's just say the response has been incredible. I'm also here for Melbourne Toy Fair, which runs from March 1st through March 4th. This is one of the key industry events in the Asia Pacific region, and I'll be meeting with clients, licensors, and I'll be hitting most of the summits as well, and licensor-hosted events. And of course, this is a family trip too. I'm spending quality time with my family here in Melbourne, and I'm very excited my partner's family are visiting from Brazil as well. So we've got Australians, Brazilians, and a lot of business all converging on one of the world's most livable cities. Now, while I'm here, I'm absolutely making time for two quintessentially Australian things: Vegemite and Boost Juice. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, well, Vegemite is that polarizing yeast spread that Australians put on toast. It's delicious. And Boost Juice is our homegrown smoothie empire that's taken over shopping centers across the country. I cannot get enough of Boost Juice. I'm also planning to check out two incredible licensed experiences while I'm here: the Cookie Monster Cafe and the Toy Story exhibition happening right now in Melbourne. These are exactly the kinds of experiential licensing activations that get me really excited. And I'll be documenting everything on my Instagram and YouTube channel, so if you're not already following me there, head over for some behind-the-scenes content in real time. All right, with the scene set, let's get into the meat of today's episode. We've got 3 main topics to cover, and trust me, each one offers valuable insights for anyone in the licensing industry. I recently found myself in Sao Paulo, Brazil, the biggest city in the Southern Hemisphere with over 20 million people. And I wasn't just there for the incredible food scene or to visit family. I was there for something I've been planning for a while: visiting the world's first official standalone SpongeBob SquarePants restaurant. Now, I have to be honest with you, SpongeBob has a special place in my heart and in my career. He was the very first character I encountered when I started in licensing almost 20 years ago. I've worked on countless SpongeBob campaigns since then, from Instagram to Uber, from Facebook to Investnet, from Ghirardelli to so many others. In fact, to this day, SpongeBob is the character I've licensed the most, more than any other. So when I heard the world's first SpongeBob restaurant was opening in Sao Paulo, I knew I had to see it myself. The exterior of the restaurant alone is worth the trip. You've got a massive SpongeBob figure right at the top of the building, surrounded by incredible elements from Bikini Bottom. There are bubbles floating around the entrance. It's impossible to miss. And that's all before you step inside. Walking into Bob Esponja, that's SpongeBob in Portuguese, is like stepping directly into an episode of the show. Everything is vibrant, colorful, meticulously themed. I'm talking about every single detail: the walls, the furniture, the bathrooms. Yes, even the bathrooms are branded with those generic fish characters we all love from the show. They've thought of everything. There's a whole merchandise section packed with licensed SpongeBob products. You've got plush toys, stationery, homeware, apparel. The full range is there. And believe me, I couldn't leave empty-handed. I bought myself and our filmmaker Eduardo a massive SpongeBob mug each. And every time I have my morning tea now, I remember that incredible experience. But let's talk about the food, because ultimately what keeps people coming back is the food. I ordered hamburger di siri with batata fritas. That's a Krabby Patty with fries in Portuguese. The presentation was spot on, and this was really what experiential licensing is all about. Every detail matters. Now, here's what's fascinating from a licensing perspective. This wasn't a pop-up. It's not temporary. This is a living, breathing restaurant that's been operating since 2024. That requires a whole different level of commitment from both the licensor and the licensee. We're talking about ongoing quality control, brand compliance, operational standards that need to be maintained day in and day out. The rights holders, which is Paramount, have been incredibly careful about how they've managed the brand for 25 years. They have strict rules about how you work with SpongeBob, and they enforce them. That level of care and respect for the IP is exactly why SpongeBob has survived and thrived for over a quarter of a century. And what really impressed me was how the restaurant attracts all demographics. I saw kids there, teenagers, adults, families. SpongeBob really does appeal to everyone. And that's what makes him such a powerful licensed property. He's immediately recognizable. He's bright yellow, which people love. And he can be applied to almost every product category imaginable. From a licensing expert's perspective, I have to give this experience 10 Krabby Patties out of 10. Every inch of that restaurant is themed to make guests feel like they're part of SpongeBob's world. The attention to detail, the compliance with brand guidelines, the quality of execution, it's all there. You see it all. And here's the big takeaway. Experiential licensing is booming. When you create a space where fans can physically immerse themselves in the world of their favorite IP, you're not just selling food or selling merchandise, you're selling memories. You're creating moments that people will share on social media, talk about with their friends, and remember for years to come, and probably come back as well. I shared a sneak peek of the experience on Instagram, and it's been watched almost 35,000 times. If you want to see the full experience, I documented everything on video for our YouTube channel. You can see me exploring every corner of the restaurant and meeting SpongeBob himself. Yes, he turned up and I got my photo with him again. I love getting my photo with SpongeBob. And you also see me diving into that delicious Krabby Patty too. Check out Born to License on YouTube for that. Now, switching gears a bit from Brazil to Australia, I want to talk about a special podcast episode we released recently and some incredible behind-the-scenes experiences I've had while visiting Born to License client Courtney Brand's office. Now, this was when I was in Australia last time, towards the end of last year. For those who don't know, Courtney Brands is one of Australia's leading personalization companies. They've been creating innovative, high-quality print products for over 40 years. Their most recognized consumer brand is Hippo Blue, and that specializes in personalized children's products like backpacks, bento boxes, name labels, and more. They're one of Born to License's favorite clients, and since we started working together, we've signed licenses for them with Disney, Warner Brothers, and Paramount. We're talking about ranges featuring some of the most in-demand IP in the world. Marvel, Mickey and Friends, Star Wars, Paw Patrol, Batman, Toy Story, Moana, the list goes on and on. When I visited their offices, I got to see firsthand how these licensed products come to life. From concept, design, to production, to quality control, the entire process is fascinating. And what really stood out to me was the pride that the Courtney Brands team takes in every single product. This special podcast episode features a conversation with Aldo, the CEO of Courtney Brands, and in the chat we talked about their incredible journey into licensing, the challenges they face trying to break into the industry, and the incredible results they've achieved since partnering with major licensors. One statistic that really jumped out, they experienced a 400 increase in customer acquisition after launching their Disney ranges, 400%. And their overall business grew by 30% year on year. So these are not marginal improvements. These are business transforming results. And it just shows you what licensing can do when done right. What I love about working with companies like Hippo is that they understand that licensing isn't just about slapping a character on a product. It's about creating something that honors the IP, meets the licensor's standards, and delivers genuine value to the customer. They've invested in the right technologies, they've built the right relationships, and most importantly, they respect the properties they're working with. During my visit, I saw the design process, the compliance reviews, the production quality checks. Everything is done to an incredibly high standard, and that's exactly why Disney, Warner Brothers, and Paramount were willing to work with them. If you haven't listened to that special podcast episode yet, I highly recommend it. Aldo shares some really valuable insights about what it takes to succeed in licensing, especially for companies that are new to the space. The episode is available now. All right, let's talk about something that's been dominating the collectibles conversation, Labubu. I was recently asked by Campaign Asia whether we've reached peak Labubu. For those who might not be familiar, Labubu is this quirky, ugly, cute plush monster. It exploded into a global craze via Pop Mart's blind box collectibles starting in 2019. And during 2024, Labubu's breakout year, revenue jumped over 700% year on year to roughly $420 million. That is phenomenal growth. And a big part of that was driven by K-pop star Lisa from Blackpink posting about Labubu on her Instagram stories in April 2024. That single post triggered a 30% jump in Pop Mart's Southeast Asia sales that week alone. But now we're seeing some interesting shifts in the market. Resale prices have dropped by 50% or more on many models. Pop Mart ramped up production significantly. We're talking approximately 30 million units per month. That artificial scarcity that fueled the initial frenzy, it's gone. So when Campaign Asia asked me if we've reached peak Labubu, here's exactly what I told them. It's too early to definitively call it a peak, although we might be getting close. I actually experienced this firsthand when I was at the Pop Mart Robo Shop at Selfridges in London late last year. I was with a friend who was desperately trying to hunt down Labubu for her niece. She had to register, then return during a 1-hour slot later that day just to pick it up. So the demand is still very real. But here's the real test. Can Pop Mart transform this frenzy into a sustainable, multi-channel brand with staying power beyond the initial wave? Think about properties like Barbie or Transformers. They evolved from single category products into evergreen IPs with hundreds of licensees across fashion, publishing, entertainment, and beyond. That's the challenge for Labubu. Pop Mart needs to lean into storytelling. They need to forge strategic licensing partnerships. They need to give consumers reasons to stay emotionally invested in Labubu beyond just the thrill of the chase. The good news is that Sony Pictures is already in early development for a Labubu film, which could be a complete game changer. My advice to Pop Mart, and this made it into the Campaign Asia article, is to be selective about licensing partners. Ensure high-quality standards from all licensee products. Make sure that every partnership reinforces the brand's core identity rather than diluting it. We've already seen some warning signs. The rise of counterfeits and lookalike characters has weakened Labubu's premium positioning. The question isn't whether Labubu will disappear. The question is whether it becomes a long-term brand platform like Hello Kitty, or whether it ends up disappearing like Beanie Babies. Content will be important, community will be important, and the evolution will also be important. Right now, Labubu has visibility and aesthetic appeal, but does it have a story? Does it have a community where people create meaning beyond just buying stuff? Can it surprise us and grow beyond the initial concept? Those are the questions that will determine Labubu's long-term success in general and in licensing too. You can read my comments as well as insights from other industry experts in the Campaign Asia article. I'll put the link in the episode description. All right, well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. What a journey we've been on together, from Bikini Bottom in Sao Paulo to Courtney Brands in Melbourne, and then to the rise and potential peak of Labubu. If there's one theme that connects all these stories, it's this. Successful licensing requires more than just slapping a character on a product. It requires strategic thinking, respect for the IP, understanding your audience, and executing with quality at every touch point. Whether it's creating an immersive restaurant experience that makes people feel like they're inside their favorite cartoon, building a personalization business that partners with the world's biggest entertainment companies, or managing a viral collectible through its inevitable market corrections, it all comes down to the fundamentals of good licensing practice. Now, before I sign off, a few quick reminders. Make sure you're following me on Instagram. It's David Bourne with a 0 instead of an O. David Bourne with an O was already taken when I registered many years ago. You'll get real-time updates from my Australian trip there. I'll be posting content from Melbourne Toy Fair, the Cookie Monster Cafe, and the Toy Fair exhibition, and whatever else I find myself doing, maybe eating Vegemite and drinking Boost juice, as I'm sure you expect. If you haven't already, check out this special podcast episode featuring my conversation with Eldo from Courtney Brands. It's packed with valuable insights for anyone looking to break into licensing. And if you're interested in learning the fundamentals of licensing, from deal structures to finding the right licenses, knowing if you're ready, pitching like a pro, check out my online course at learntolicense.com. Thanks so much for joining me on this licensing adventure from down under. Whether you're listening from Australia, the UK, the US, Brazil, or anywhere else in the world, I really appreciate you being part of the Born to License community. Next episode, I'll be sharing insights from the Melbourne Toy Fair, including the trends, what I'm seeing, the products that caught my eye, and what that means for the licensing industry in 2026 and beyond. Until then, keep licensing, keep learning, and remember, the best licensing partnerships are built on respect, they're built on quality, and genuine value for all parties involved. I'm David Bourne, and this has been Born to License.